Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to another Chamber Check-In episode from Idaho's only five-star accredited chamber. Today, I'm honored to be able to share the Make-A-Wish Idaho story. I have got Director of Development with me today, Sean Riley. I'm going to bring him on stage right now.
Hey, Paul. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Sean. Thanks for carving out some time with me today.
Thank you. Thank you to the chamber. Thank you to you. This is fun. Let's go.
So, Sean, we've known each other for several years now in different capacities. And congratulations on your relatively new position with Make-A-Wish.
Yeah. Been here about 6 months. Been doing nonprofit work for over 20 years. I have to tell you, 6 months in, this is probably one of my most favorite nonprofit I've been with. What we do, the culture, the people, and the stories. We're going to do some stories today. I hope that's okay, Paul.
No, that's totally cool. I was looking at your website, and on your chapter page, it lists your staff. And one thing that's really cool is that each staff member has their own wish. And I hope Janie's watching right now because her wish is to be a backup singer for Barry Manilow. And so, Janie, if you're watching, we'll have to get together and I'll tell you my Barry Manilow story. And I'll just give you the highlights. One of the very first concerts I went to in Spokane, Washington, I must have been maybe 8 years old, sitting in the nosebleed section of the Spokane Convention Center. And there's Barry Manilow on stage singing. And then he asks, for someone to come up on stage. And here I am jumping way up in the air with my hand. And my mom sitting next to me, she says, "Sit down, Paul. He's asking for a girl to come up."
So you didn't get picked?
I didn't get picked. But, oh my gosh, I love Old Blue Eyes. Anyway, or Barry Manilow.
He still got it. It's amazing, but that guy still got it.
Yeah, still has it. So I think that's cool. Sean, everybody knows Make-A-Wish, right? But for those that don't, kind of share when did the organization start nationally? Kind of bring us up to speed on when, where, how, and why.
Sure. We started in Arizona, Phoenix to be exact. Started in 1980, and there was a 7-year-old boy by the name of Christopher, and he was battling leukemia. And this is before Make-A-Wish was even a thing. And he dreamt of becoming a police officer. And some people from the police department and the Department of Public Safety got together, and they made it happen for him. He got a helicopter ride. He toured the headquarters. He received a uniform. He got a badge, and he was sworn in honorary for the day. I can't tell you how that captivated people, taking this boy that did later on pass, but have a very wonderful experience, just magnify, not just the United States, but now across many, many nations across the world. Idaho started about 6 years after that. Our first wish was in 1980. A couple of those wishes were kind of fun. One of them was a boy who wanted to be a referee at a Boise State football game. Yeah, he wanted to be on the blue. Gotta love that, huh? And that we made happen, which is just amazing. There was another boy, and he had a wish too. He was dealing with cancer, and he wanted a pet dragon. And no, it wasn't a real dragon, but he got a pet dragon. It's pretty amazing about the experiences, the trips, and the things that we could do. Our chapter here, which is Make-A-Wish Idaho, we represent the state for our chapter. We've now delivered over 2,000 wishes since 1986. And last year alone, we granted 130. And we're really proud about that.
That's incredible. Really incredible. You were talking about that first young man who passed from leukemia, but had that experience. That's got to impact a lot. I mean, obviously, to overcome something like that is rare. but to have some hope, right? To change your mental awareness of what's going on and to have a smile, that's got to impact your health, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of data to support that. A lot of data. We just don't know what these families are going through who are dealing with critical illnesses. And, they're going to talk a little bit today. There's always a story behind the story. And one point I do want to make, a lot of people think we just support kids with terminal illnesses, and that's not true. That is a part of it, but that is a small part. It's critical illnesses that run the gamut. And we are really happy that every wish that comes through that we could deliver. But you're right. There are some rush wishes that we have to do. That happened recently at St. Luke's. A nurse called us and said this boy, his last wish was to be united with his family. And he was so progressive with his critical illness. He was going to die, and he was separated from his father. We were able to get his father and his sister together for his last wish, which is just amazing. And there's not a week that goes by that I don't get a little teary-eyed. I probably will do it today. A doctor had this quote, though, going back to your question. And he said that it's an unsaid power that the wish experience gives kids. These kids live longer. They're living better. They're having more fun again in their life. And it all started with one experience, their wish. It's amazing when we can help provide that hope. Hey, recently at your gala, by the way, you guys did a great job this last year at the Boise Metro Gala. What was there, 1,000 people there? And love the program, love how you guys are lifting up entrepreneurs and all different people. And see the kids. I mean, we're talking about kids today. You were highlighting high school kids and doing different things. It was fantastic. But a friend of mine who I've known for a long time pulled me aside, and he had recently retired. And he basically said to me that his son got a wish. And he says, here's what my son said, Sean. He says, you know why I love Make-A-Wish? And the dad, this guy said, no. And he says, because it doesn't hurt. You let that one sit in. These kids go through so much. You think of an adult going through something like chemotherapy. You think about the transfusions. You think about what happens. Now imagine a kid going through this for a period of time. And having something like hope, whether it's experience going to Disneyland, whether it's going to Hawaii, it might be just getting your room done or a dollhouse in the backyard that you get to play in. There's all kinds of things we could do to do that. But yes, it's giving kids hope again. It's a certain type of medicine. And I just love being a part of that, Paul.
No, that's great. I love it. Life's full of moments, right? And if you can remember those moments and elevate those moments, that's what makes it all happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sharing the mission and impact. We talked a little bit about that. You told us a little bit about the story about the guy at the gala. That's great. And his kid. There's something here about your story growing up. Tell us a little bit about that, Sean.
Well, I'm deeply connected by this, and I wish it didn't take me this long. I just had a big birthday the other day. We won't admit on the screen here, but it was a certain decade that just passed a couple days ago.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. I grew up in a household where from 8th grade through college, but particularly when I was home, 8th grade through high school, that I had a sister that spent more time in a hospital than out. And I could tell you firsthand how hard that is. There were nights I just went to bed praying that she would be healed, that the pain, not just because of my sister and being a part of that, seeing her in the hospital, seeing people die in a hospital and all the things that go along with a great place like St. Luke's, but how hard so many things are, how that could be not just on the child, but how that could be on the whole family. So for me, I get to be a part of giving something that I sure wish we had. I get to give them joy. I get to give them hope by simply just raising money to grant more wishes. And it's as simple as that. That's what I do. What do you do, Sean? I mean, our mission is together, we create life-changing wishes for children with critical illnesses. And I love that word together. Paul, it takes you, me. I mean, you might know a family. You might know someone. The other day, I was somewhere and someone was telling me about a grandson that had a critical illness. I'm like, did you call? Like, it's so easy. You could get verified so quickly through the program just by going to our website and going through some questions, the doctor talking to that person, and boom, we could start talking about a wish. It's wonderful. But I got to tell you, my experience, I know personally how hard that could be for these families, and anything I could do to offer some hope, to give them a little smile, something to look forward to. Like my friend said at that gala, that child saying, because it doesn't hurt.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, you mentioned 130 wishes this year, over 2,000 wishes since the inception of the Idaho chapter. How can businesses get involved, since this is a business podcast? How to give or get involved, or, because obviously there's volunteer, there's corporate partnerships, there's fundraising, other ways. Help me share through this broadcast how we can get involved.
Well, if you walked into Black Bear Diner, you would see that they're giving a portion of their proceeds this month stuff. Subaru right now, their dealerships in December are for every purchase. There's one of 4 charities. We're one of those 4, and they could give. There's so many different ways. Sponsoring an event. We have an event. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute coming up, called the Polar Bear Challenge. And I got to tell you, 23 years in, jumping into Lucky Peak Lake. I was talking to my friend Brian Wright, who owns the Dutch Brothers here in Treasure Valley, west part of Treasure Valley. And he said, okay, Sean, I'm going to sign up for a membership, but guess what? Our sponsorship. But guess what? You got to jump in. So, Paul, I'm going to be jumping in the reservoir this year. And it is cold, but I'm going to have fun.
This might be your best year to do it with the late winter coming on.
Oh, let's hope it stays at 50 as far as I'm concerned. My son was golfing yesterday out in Warm Springs, and he said, Dad, it was 62 degrees. I was in shorts. And I'm like, this isn't a normal December, is it? But, all kidding aside, there are so many different ways that you could volunteer. I talked to a woman the other day who just loves our mission. And she said, I want to volunteer, but I don't know if I could go be a part of a reveal. And I'm going to share a story about a reveal, but that's a great way for volunteers to come. And I says, well, if you want, you could just be a part of events. We have a gala like you do. We do different events like the Polar Bear. Come and volunteer. I let her off the hook. I called her the next day and said, I blew it. She says, what do you mean? And I said, just because it's hard, I want you to lean into it, because the reward of giving someone hope and hearing the story behind the story and firsthand and being a part of like a wish reveal we call is overwhelming. So you could volunteer, you could donate, you could go online today and donate. I really encourage people to come out for the Polar Bear Plunge, which I'm going to get to in just a minute. But, like another business, Top Golf here in town, they do some of the reveals there. And another wish story, we had a family with this kid. He's a little bit older. He's probably about 11 and 12 years old. And he was dealing with cancer. I mean, literally the day before he showed up for this reveal, he was hooked up to feeding tubes because of his transfusions and everything he's going through his cancer treatment. And I noticed in this room that there was a lot of family there that have come from Seattle, come from Utah, a little bit more than usual. This kid's name was Jackson. We get permission to share these stories, by the way. It's okay. And I walked up to what I thought was his mother. And she says, you don't know the whole story, do you? And I said, no. She says, Jackson's mother died last year.
Oh, geez.
So this young teenage kid not only had to go through cancer treatment, but he lost his mom. We just don't know the story behind these stories. And I'm here to tell you that a wish just isn't a wish. It's so much more than that. And I just love being a part of that. So let me talk about Polar Bear, because I don't want to cry. But hey, it's happy tears, because we're meeting people right and walking with them right where they're at. Polar Bear Plunge is a great place. We're still taking sponsorships, and I'd love to get sponsorships. You could call me, find me on the website, Sean Riley, Make-A-Wish Idaho. We have some great sponsors. Corwin Ford is going to be one of our major sponsors. Others like Shields, and as I said, Dutch Brothers, A1 Plumbing. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. I think there's an identity here that people want to continue to maintain, and Idaho kind of takes care of their own. It's not like other states. I lived in California for a while, lived in Atlanta, Georgia for a while. This is a different place. Idaho wants to take care of their own. And you could do that corporately through a sponsorship. You could do it personally with a donation, and you could volunteer. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. And Polar Bear is just one of our biggest things that is coming up on January 10th at Lucky Peak Reservoir. And I encourage people to come out to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. One quick story that I want to tell you. So for a lot of people are moving in. I hear like the number this last year is 85 people a day are moving into Idaho. That's a lot of people over a lot of days. Well, there are two people that started that. A guy by the name of Larry Gebert and Gary Arbaugh. Well, Larry and Gary, if you've been around, particularly Boise, and watched the news, you saw him because he was a famous weatherman on TV. But you know what he is most known for? And he did just pass in the last year or so. He was known for his philanthropy, particularly for kids. And he and Gary also worked for news stations, but he was more a back office guy, sales guy, selling the ad time. These two just took it upon themselves to start our first Polar Bear Challenge at Lucky Peak 23 years ago. And I'm going to tell you, there was only about 15, 20 people there. This year, because we're getting all the support from Cumulus Media, thank you, Cumulus, for going big with us this year. This year, we're expecting 400 or 500. Janie, our CEO, thinks we're going to have well over 600 people.
Wow.
And what's going to start it is Larry, for years, used to water ski. Talk about larger than life care every day for a year on Lucky Peak. Is that amazing? Well, he's passed, so now his son is the inaugural water skier who will be out there water skiing. And as he comes across, there'll be a countdown and everybody will jump in the water. And I want people to know that story, because this just isn't some gimmicky thing. There's people that have been invested in this community in great causes like Make-A-Wish, and we know we're just one of many. There's many great causes. In fact, I saw on your website the other day that families, and we're seeing this too, are more in need than ever because subsidies aren't there like they normally are. Right. And things like Find Help Idaho and 211 are a great resource to help families in need. And I wholly support that. I know Ann would appreciate me telling you that as well. But the story behind Larry and Gary is just incredible. And I want people to know that there's so much history here. If you're new to the Valley, come be a part of it. If you're here, don't just consume. Come be a part of the community that wants to take care of our own.
Polar Bear Challenge, January 10th, 23-year history. How do we sign up? When do we jump in? Tell us the timing.
So we're going to have festivities start about 10 o'clock. Shields has got a big tent. They're going to be giving away a bunch of stuff. We're going to have a melts truck, so you could even get something warm. We're going to have coffee from Flying M Coffee, have donuts, thanks to a couple of different vendors like Albertsons. We're so happy. So we're going to put some sugar, some caffeine, and some, grilled cheese in your stomach. And there'll be some fun stuff. Cumulus will be there. We've got a reveal family that will be talking very briefly. We have some kids from schools like Eastside High School that are going to be there with that reveal. We have something called Kids for Wish Kids. They're going to be there. They're going to champion this Wish family. It's really going to be a great family affair. And I will tell you, if you give money, and you don't want to jump in the reservoir, I'm okay with that. I had some of our board members say, hey, if I donate, can I not go into the reservoir? And I've said, absolutely. But come watch and come be a part of it. And you can sign up on our website. It's right there. See the big polar bear? If you give over $100, you're going to get a polar bear t-shirt. And those things are a rare commodity. It is a lot of fun being able to wear that for the rest of the year. But easy peasy, sign up, register, be a part of a team. There's some big teams right now kind of challenging each other, which is fun, whether it's Villa Sports, they've got something going, and so do the people at the Rotaries. I mean, it's you got all these little teams being formed and their captains, and they're raising funds for more wishes to be granted.
I love it, Sean. Hey, I want to, we could talk about this all day long, and thanks for sharing a little bit about Make-A-Wish. Started in the 80s here in Idaho, granted, over 2,000 wishes, 130 this year. The goal would be not to have to make any wishes, but it is what it is. And I love the organization. January 10th, Polar Bear Challenge. You have an event in April, an event in May. Tell us about those last couple things.
Yeah, last couple things. We've got April's going to be something called the Wish Hero Month. And if you're a business out there, here's a great way. We're going to feature just a peer-to-peer thing. We're going to highlight your company. You're going to have your own company and your own web page. You're going to encourage whether your own customers or your suppliers, other vendors, whoever is in your network to participate in a peer-to-peer way, whether they want to give $1, $5, or $100. It's amazing in that month highlighting these wish heroes. When you think of what it takes for a kid to get that wish, I saw a kid the other day dressed as a Superman, and to make that happen, a nurse has to give a referral, a doctor has to get involved. There are donors who make the wish happen. There are people that gift in kind. Some kids want a spa, we get that gifted. There are people that want to do plumbing and help for plumbing or build a swing. There's all different kinds of the way to give. So Wish Hero Month in April is going to be big. Really encourage businesses to get involved. That easy way to do it. We'll give you a web page, make it easy for you so you don't have to do much. May 1st, we're going to have our first Wine for Wishes out in Canyon County on Lake Lowell, and we're really excited about that. Deer Flat Ranch is a beautiful place. Really love the lavender garden there. It's a great wedding video, and we're going to be getting the other side of the valley involved. In October, we do our Serving Up Wishes Gala. We're always excited to do that. That's always a really big deal. So those are the things that are coming up here. We're going to have a telethon too. And we are going to be Wishes in Flight. We're going to be raising people to not just give money, but to give airline miles, because the number one wish, do you know where it is? What kids ask for?
Disneyland, baby.
Disneyland. They all want to go. And it's Disney World, really.
Oh, Disney World.
We've got a village there where the family stay at. I got to tour it. Oh my gosh, Paul. It was, I see why kids want to go there.
Yeah. Okay, Sean. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate the connection with the chamber. You've been chamber members for many years. Congratulations on your new appointment there, relatively new appointment with Make-A-Wish Idaho. Hey, to you and your whole staff, thanks for everything you do.
Thank you. Thanks for the chamber. You guys give back. You help so many different people in so many different ways. You're broadening that even with entrepreneurs, what you're doing with the hub. I can't say enough for Bobby Joe and your whole group, what you're doing over there. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Say hi, everybody. Janie, let's get together and talk about Barry Manilow. Have a good Merry Christmas.